Hello, friends. I'm Michael from eKids, and what I want to do is show you these Advent blocks that we're using in our church. This is going to be kind of fun. This is something that we're doing through the whole Advent season. Let's just get started. Let me just show you real quick. You can see here are the beautiful blocks, and the way that it works is each block, like today is December 1st, so you have a block that has the number 1, right? And then you'll see that there's an apple on this block that says number 1. And so what we're going to do is, when you're doing this with your children, or if your children are watching right now, what you can do is let the children kind of play with these blocks. There's a star block and there's the 1 block. And these 2 blocks they can play with, they can look at and things. So here's the thing. One, we'll go after they're done playing it, we'll go ahead and we'll turn it around to where the apple will show. And we're going to put the star right on top of it because we know that's where we are. And we'll do that each day, and it'll show a secret message at the end of this thing, at the end of the whole Advent season. But for now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and read our Advent thing. So let's check it out. So it says, day 1, how it all began. The story of Adam and Eve from Genesis 1, 2, 3. And we'll just read a couple pages. See, we'll have this page and this page onto there. All right, let's check it out. You guys can open up and read with me if you'd like. The story of Adam and Eve. Every story has a beginning. I bet you've read a lot of books that start with once upon a time, or a long, long time ago in a land far, far away. But do you know how your story begins? You might think your story begins when you were born, but it goes back further than that. It goes back before you were born, before your parents were born, before your parents' parents were born. In fact, it goes back before anyone was born, all the way back to the very beginning. And in the very beginning, there was almost nothing. No people, no houses, no animals, no plants, no you, no me. But someone was there. There was almost nothing. No people, no houses, no plants, no animals, no you, no me. But there was someone there. His name was God, and he was ready to write the greatest story anyone has ever told. It's your story and my story and the story of every person who has ever lived. It's a story about how much God loves his people, about how far away God seems sometimes, and about the lengths God would go to get his people back. It's a story about God making the wrong things right and the dark things light. As it turns out, it's also the story of Christmas. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to the beginning. In the beginning, there was nothing but God. So God looked around and said, let's take this nothing and make something. And that's just what he did. He saw darkness and said, sorry, darkness, I'm making light. Then he said, hey, that's good. He saw empty spaces and he said, sorry, emptiness, I'm making planets. And then he said, hey, that's good too. He saw an empty earth and said, sorry, boring old empty earth. I'm making meadows and mountains and tiny creeks and enormous oceans and daffodils and dragonflies and hydrangeas and hippos. Then he said, hey, all of this is good. And last of all, he made the best part. Can you guess what that is? People! God made a man named Adam and a woman named Eve, and they were very special because God had made them to think like him and to act like him. So God said, this isn't just good, it's really good. Adam and Eve were like children to God. And so it was no surprise that the first thing they heard him say was, I love you. Adam and Eve lived every day with God in the garden he made for them, called Eden, until something went wrong. God had told Adam and Eve they could eat fruit from all the trees in Eden except one. Don't eat from this tree, God said, or the world will fill up with wrong and darkness. Death will come very close, and I will seem very far away. But there was a snake in the garden who lied to Adam and Eve. That's right, a talking snake. It's not wrong, the snake said, and death won't come close at all. Just one bite. That's the world. What's the worst that could happen? Eve picked the fruit and ate some. So did Adam. They chose their way over God's way, which is what we call sin. Immediately, everything changed. God knew what had happened, and his heart began to break. He went to check on Adam and Eve, but all they wanted to do was hide. They didn't want to see him anymore. So God gave them the terrible thing they wanted, to go away from God. God sent Adam and Eve out of the garden and away from him. In the years to come, when life was difficult, when the ground was hard, when the world was filled with wrong and darkness, Adam would think back to that garden. He would remember the day when God was with him and with Eve. But outside the garden, God seemed far away. So Adam and Eve began to hope and to pray. God, will you bring us back one day? God, will you come back to stay? Okay, and that's the end of the devotional for today. Now, the thing to learn here that's really important is that we really need God. You know? We see that Adam and Eve, they did well with God, but when they turned their backs to God and they did the wrong thing and they turned from him, things didn't work out so well, and they just wanted God back. And so that's something I want you to think about as we look at Christmas. We know Christmas is thinking about when Jesus came, right? But imagine being alive a long time ago before Jesus. Imagine wanting so bad for Jesus to come. That's what we want you to think about now. And imagine Adam and Eve probably wanted God back. They probably wanted to walk in the garden with God like they used to before they messed things up. So we're going to see lots of stories like this where people make mistakes and they want God back. We're going to find other stories where people are closer to God, but they really want God to stay. So anyway, that's what I got for today, guys. Merry early Christmas, happy Advent, and I hope you guys enjoy these blocks. So today we're done with number one. Now you can see why there's an apple there and why there's a star. And so, I'll give you a little hint too. The first letter is E, so we need to figure out what this thing's going to spell at the end too. Anyway, we have an apple and a star, and we're going to find out more about that as we go. So guys, I love you, and I'll see you next time. For now, bye.